Tell him, Steve Dave.
Jeff was a customer that used to come into the stash when it was on Monmouth Street, when we first opened. You only came to the stash when it was the stash. You never went to Comicology with the other Steve Dave. Remember when we were clearing out the store, how many purple garments he had? Purple jackets and purple sweatpants. And
yeah. How did you learn about the stash?
How did I learn about the stash? When I was actually living in Bricktown, there was I used to go to a place down there, and at the time, Comics Plus, which is not there no more, so it doesn't really matter.
That's why I said you can mention it.
But they're still around.
Walt has successfully driven them out of business.
I was starting to collect the, at the height of Star Wars was coming back and everything else like that. And the clerk down there, he actually said that, if you're into this shit, there's a place up in Red Bank called Jane's Silent Bob's Secret Stash.
Like if you heard Jeff saying that to somebody else, Jeff would be no more.
I would be fucking infuriated if he was driving business to another store.
You think this store's good? There's an even better one. I don't know, 20 minutes down the road.
But that's why that's not there no more.
Well, I'm wondering, did you plant somebody in that comic book store, Walt?
He said he knew you.
No, but to paint a picture for people who don't collect toys, back in that era, Star Wars toys were like gold.
Toys in general were at a high, because I remember when we first opened the store, we had so many Spawn figures tacked to the wall. Yeah. Well, I tacked them, and then I caught shit from you guys. This fucking not pristine mint anymore.
You fucking put this fuck up. Fucking put tacks right through the fucking cards on toys, and me and Kevin walked in and we're aghast. We're like, what the fuck? Who do we got fucking in the store here? Fucking, I couldn't get over this.
A guy who really doesn't give a shit about any of this and would never know. You said once, actually, that I think you're much better than me, but you said that I was the perfect guy to hire for the store because I gave a shit about none of this stuff and would never steal anything.
Yeah, you weren't interested in having, when the product came in. I think 9 out of 10 employees who work in a comic book store are like super jazzed when the shit comes in because they can't wait to see it.
Then there's that 10th guy.
Then there's that 10th guy. That was you, who was just like, whatever. Could I put a fucking tack through this?
No. That 10th guy is like, I'm putting a tack through this. Because that's what you do, right? Yeah, I remember you two crybabies coming and being like, what the fuck, man?
But you got all defensive at, like, big deal. It'll still sell.
You know why? Because I didn't know there were guys like Jeff about to come into the store that would have been like a microscopic little hole you can barely see and be like, this is fucking worthless now.
Well, he figured people opened them up, not actually collected them.
That's Jeff talking away from the mic and slurping coffee, in case you were wondering. So you started coming to the store right after we opened.
Yeah, it wasn't probably too long after.
He would call ahead to see what toys were there. Like, I guess if you got out of work at 12, you called to see. You called when you got out of work to see if it was worth coming down for. But not only to see what merchandise we had, but also to see if Brian was working, because at the time you had a distaste for me.
Mm-hmm.
Shocking.
Wonder why.
The reason being, I think, was because I was freer because Jeff bought so much stuff. I mean, this is a guy who spent, I don't know, easily $50 a week, right?
Oh God, yeah, easily.
Yeah, easily.
Yeah.
So I figure, like, well, this is a steady customer. We can knock a little bit off for him, discount. But there was someone who, even though he only worked there 3 hours a week, ranked way higher than me in terms of opinion.
But you're talking about, we would buy, like, we're talking about these exclusives from Walmart and Target. Mm-hmm. If we bought them for like $30 a piece, we would only mark them up like if we could do it
what
double.
What Star
we
Wars
would.
figure are you buying for $30?
12-inch figures.
I don't think I ever paid $30 for a Star Wars figure in that store. They were more like 50 to 75.
The 12-inch.
They were a lot of money.
No, Walter's saying that.
The original price were probably about $20. Well,
yeah, we'd mark it up to make money, or else why the fuck are we doing this?
Right. No. I agree with that. Because Walt would put 100,000 miles a year on his car, going to different malls and flea markets and down to Wildwood.
If I found this shit, I didn't want Brian fucking being like, oh, let's lose money on it.
So that's why when I came in the following week, you'd be all pissed off because you gave me a discount.
Didn't you used to tell Jeff that when he called that stuff was actually priced higher?
Then I'd say yeah.
And then you because you were trying to compete with me to be the good guy.
Customers listen to this.
We don't do that no more.
Yeah.
But yeah, he would call up and be like, "What do you got?" And I'd be like, "Well, we got the new Tauntaun." And he goes, "Oh, how much?" You know, I knew I had a set price on it. If it was like, I don't know, $50, I'd be like, "Well, it's 60, but I'll give it to you for 50 because you know it's you."
Which really was true in a way. You were
Nice guy.
because it's
I
you.
know I called to see if you were at the store.
Yeah.
He would call. He'd be I could hear his voice if I picked up. Brian's not in this weekend, huh? And he would be. You could hear the disappointment in his voice. Not the disappointment, but the like, huh? Oh, it's that guy. Well, just tell Brian I'll be down next week.
Kind of like when you come home and your wife and kids greet you.
He would intentionally not come down here if I was there.
Now, did you know by this point that it was because I was like Joe Discount?
No, I didn't make that assumption. I just assumed, like, you know, I knew we had him hooked.
When did you?
I knew he was a junkie, and we were the supplier.
The
for
fish
what
was
he
in the
looking
net.
for.
We just
Yeah.
needed to pull him up on board. You don't take anything out of the box either. You're one of those guys that, like, God forbid, it should
does.
have a tack hole.
Eventually, Jeff couldn't stay away, even though I was the one working that weekend. He had to come down and purchase the stuff, regardless if you were here or not. He had to put up.
That's a draw. That's a tractor beam type draw where the guy's like, "There's nothing I can do. I got to go down and deal with him."
Yes.
All right.
All right. So we started talking after he bought the figures, and he was starting to give me updates on different comic book stores.
I'm gonna if I have to go through all our pods and find the word head and put it in there. It's happening. So anyway,
I'll just say it, head. And, so we started bullshitting and talking, and I found out that he was like this guy who spent one night a week just on the prowl for toys. And what was your itinerary for Wednesday nights?
Back then it was Suncoast, and we went to Toys R Us. They basically hit everything.
and there's something about I've noticed with you in the past that there's something about the hunt.
Not anymore,
Like
but
dorky
back
hunters
then,
in a
yeah, the
way.
hunt. It was the thrill. I know what a big game hunter must feel like. You know,
Right,
when
and
he
it's not
bags.
even finding that figure. It's finding that figure at a price that you're like, holy shit, I can fucking rip off Silverman so bad.
No.
I wasn't too successful. That's why I kept on coming back.
So we started to talk, and he was telling me about his commitment to finding new stuff on a regular basis, and then doing it after work, on your way
Doing
home.
lunch breaks.
A kindred
lunch
soul
break.
of sorts.
He was even more committed to it than I was. I felt he had.
You question your own commitment after
Yeah, because
finding out what this
he
guy's
was.
up
Well,
to.
if he wasn't more, he was at least equal. I found out you were a Devil fan, and we started to connect. And and you said that like last week you made a comment like you said I hadn't made a friend in 30 years.
That's true.
You know,
I
say,
did
I
say
didn't
that.
bring it up, but I said I think that.
Well, that's sweet of you.
Well, you wouldn't let me. You were just like you were yelling and
You're like, well,
ranting.
what about John?
But I think that we became
You have
friends.
made a friend.
And
At least one of you thinks it.
What about me, Walt?
yeah, I mean,
two
definitely.
friends.
He won't give me credit where credit's due. I don't think.
That's actually one more friend than I've made in the past 30 years.
I sort of got the idea that like he would be more valuable to the store as another hunter than he would be as just a buyer. I
Right.
felt he could find stuff because he would come in and as he was doing it more and more, he was finding this stuff just as easily as I was finding it, and he didn't need to buy it from me anymore. One of my pitches to him to become an employee was, "You'll get your shit at cost."
And remember that head we talked about.
And I thought that was I knew it would be too enticing to get your stuff at cost. I want you to work weekends, every other weekend, but you couldn't do it. You could only do Sundays.
Sunday and Mondays.
Sunday and Monday. That's right. And I felt that was worth it enough just to give me that Sunday, because I felt if I had you as an employee, I could exploit your I could exploit your traveling and your obsession with shopping to help the store keep up with all the new figures.
Yet you want me to take back that you've made a friend in 30 years. You're like, your
No,
main
but
motivation is to exploit the guy.
But against all odds,
Did you ever
though,
see a
we
dime
became
for gas
friends,
with
though.
all your travels?
No.
No, I didn't think so. I did not think so.
Fuck up, Brian.
But amongst all that, like all my ulterior motives, I felt that we became good friends. There was this time where he was telling me about all these places, all these toy stores and comic book stores throughout New Jersey that I had never heard of, that he knew where they were. And he made the comment, like, we should go out one day and hit these stores.
No, at first was that because you're not the kind of guy to just jump in a car and go with someone that you kind of like marginally know.
Right. I was very like, oh, I don't even know this guy. Not that I was like, I didn't know if I could.
About head.
I don't know if I could keep up a conversation with him. We're hitting all these stores. This was like a day-long trek.
That is still
hitting
a fear.
like 7 malls in one day. Turned out to be a great day, though. Like, that was like an awesome day.
The best day ever.
Wasn't that, like, I remember that very first day we went out. We met at the Sears Middletown
a neutral location. Like they fucking gonna hook up on Craigslist or something.
I remember telling my wife.
Douche looking for toy douche.
Come into the parking lot, flash the high beams.
Are you looking for toys? Yeah, I am looking for toys.
What are you looking for? Comics? Why don't you get in?
Take his wedding ring off.
I remember telling my wife, because we went out on a Monday, because you were off Mondays, and we got the guy who was working here. It was Vinny covered.
Vinny used to work at the store.
Yeah, Vinny used to work at the store, and he was a bad worker.
Vincent Pereira, who's probably going to come in and shotgun Walt after that comment.
Not like I don't know how you could be defensive about this. His heart wasn't his. He was like you. I think even worse.
No, he was worse than me.
He was worse than
you. He didn't
even
take the time to tack figures to the wall.
His heart was not in it, and he had no enthusiasm for working in this environment, and he was just not the man for the job.
Right.
I was given the responsibility of hiring my very first employee.
It seems like you knew he was the man for the job.
I knew he was the man for the job.
He was a polar opposite of Vinny.
I liked him.
And me.
And I trusted him. So much so that I would give him my credit card. So I was able to give him. He was my first. What would you call it?
I'm cutting it right there.
First management decision.
I'm isolating
he was
that
my
shit.
first employee decision. I was really
the first out of 2.
Yeah. So Jeff was my first pick as an employee, and then the second person I got to pick as an employee was Mike Zapsik. Right. Yeah, Mike is great because he's great with the customers. He's got that cheerful attitude that I don't have.
And he knows a shitload about
Jeff
comics.
was a machine in terms of going out and looking for shit. I tell you, dude, I think that I could work as a consultant for some fucking big firms.
You could be like a headhunter.
Give me a room full of potential candidates for jobs, and I could probably pick them out and pick
You'll
out.
Flush out the best ones?
I'll get the best ones.
All right.
I think I could do that.
Do you have a Spawn figure that you need to hang on the wall? Does the tack go through the packaging, or say you hang it? I mean, looking back, that was pretty obvious. I don't know why I tacked all that shit to the wall.
You have fishnets all over the store, too. That was
It looked like a fucking seafood restaurant and shit. There was like these weird cargo nets hanging from the ceiling with action figures.
I thought that was the catch of the day, man. Vader without helmet. Catch of the day. As we got to know, before I even hired him, we went out that day and we went out fucking toy hunting. Remember?
And I stayed home with the other women and children and tended the store.
Grab my spear, grab the shopping bag.
The only weapon we need is a credit card. So we meet at the Sears parking lot. I tell my wife, like, I'm not going to work. I told her on Sunday night, I'm not going to work tomorrow. She goes, why? And goes, because I'm going.
You're not going out with that Jeff again, are you?
No, she doesn't know who he is at this point. She doesn't know who he is. She goes, no, there's this guy at the store. He's really into toy shopping, and he knows all these places that I've never been to before, so I'm going to go with him.
Now, what's the look
weird.
on her
she
face?
Goes, she's totally like, what? She's like, a guy you really don't even know? And I'm like, no, I don't know him, because it's so out of place for me to do that.
Right, yeah, it really is.
And I was like, yeah. I go, what the hell? I go, I mean, if I find some good shit, I said, that's awesome. I go, well, how bad can it be? Well, but I might be stuck in the car with him for hours. I said, but I'm sure we'll find something to talk about.
I could always take a bus back.
And it turned out it wasn't, man. It was a fucking awesome day. We hit it like 7 malls that day. We were all over the place. Remember, I had that fucking bag of
roofies.
Tell them when you saw that.
No,
That was
not
the
really.
first time you saw it.
Oh yeah, I guess you wouldn't.
How did you remember?
So tell them about when I bring that bag out. We're going to a KB up in North Jersey, and I said, hold on a second, I got to do something. And then I open the trunk.
Comes out with 2 huge bags, and it looks like they're actually getting a delivery. It's just basically more that's going back to what he possibly could.
Like
ever
the
bring out
UPS
of
guy's looking at Walt being like,
more.
look at that motherfucker struggle.
He asked me to carry half the bags.
And I had receipts for like Movie Maniacs, and I was giving it back the crappy Movie Maniacs because I had purchased the good ones, and I was switching them out and getting
The
my
old
money back.
switcheroo,
Yeah.
right. He has to be eased into this little routine that you had going at the time.
So I do it, and I remember the guy was kind of a little bit of flack, a little bit of tension between me and the clerk.
The reason being
because it's like $175 worth of toys are going back, and I just bought them like a week earlier.
You pretended you bought them.
Yeah,
Right.
and I'm bringing that back, all this stuff back, and the clerk is not happy with me. It's first thing in the morning. We get there as soon as because we left at like 7 a.m. right that day.
Because on the receipts it just says like Star Wars.
It just
figure.
says Movie Maniac figure.
Movie Maniac,
and it's
figure.
all the same SKU number, so you could bring back anything.
So that was your first exposure to Walter's fraudulent activity.
That's what it's really all about.
Right.
And then
what were your like when you saw him doing this? What were your feelings? Like,
See you down the aisle.
yeah, he didn't want no part.
He didn't want any part of it.
I remember that. He walked away from me like I had leprosy or something. He was like, I don't know that dude.
Hey, Joyce, these 2 big huge
I never
bags
should have
right
done
on
this.
top of right on top of the counter.
That's also like, and then we did it another time. I had a return that was expiring that day, another gigantic one, and the lady started giving me shit, and I started going back at her, and you were like, and then you told me like, you don't do it that way, man. You got to go in there and you got to be nice to him. And I knew, I was like, this is the guy that can do it.
Because you went in there with an attitude.
I went in there with an
indignant.
attitude, indignant, and I was like, what are you talking about? It's within the 30 days. Just give me the receipt and shut up. And credit my money. Let's be done with it. Stop playing this game.
Like they were wasting his time.
My friend that I just made is waiting on me.
You're making a bad impression.
And I started to get more and more of that. I was getting more and more like.
Well, you became
flack.
recognizable because it's not like you were returning $20 worth of shit. You're
It's-
returning
oh, yeah.
$120 worth of shit.
I had the idea. I was like, I'll just give Jeff my credit card. He'll pretend to be me on his nightly jaunts, and he could return the shit for me because he's going there anyway.
Now, you were an employee at the time?
Yeah, I think you
Yeah.
were an employee.
Employee
Or
at the
maybe
time.
I think I
I'll
might
give you
have
the
done it-
one per cases if you. Here you go.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
exactly
I would,
how
I
it
would put a
happened.
toy. I would put a
Little
carrot
tease.
on his stick for him. I definitely would. Be like, you know that yellow. that
He's
yellow,
raring to go.
that yellow Daredevil is going to be coming out in the case. It's only one per case. It's yours.
He goes from broken down nag to fucking magnificent steed the second you fucking
I
put
think I
that
might have
carrot
asked
out.
you to do it before you were even an employee, though.
Maybe
Which was
once.
really
It wasn't a
strange
lot.
that I would be like, hey, man, I barely know this guy. Here's my credit card. Could you do this return for me? And all because I was getting so much hostility, I didn't want to do it no more.
And even stranger that he's like, okay, I guess.
Like, what did you think?
What do I gotta do
I did
again?
not want to do them at all. I was just like, what the hell?
Bullshit. You were like, you're a liar. You did not like hesitate. You're like, yeah, I'll do it. No big deal. You almost jumped. You wanted to do it.
Bravado?
As time went on, though, it became.
Oh, yeah. But that very first time, you had no problems doing it.
No,
You were
because
like-
it was new. I didn't do it every day.
He wanted to impress you,
I
his
think
new
he
friend.
did. I think he wanted to do it.
like this. I got the job.
He was doing it with so little effort, and he wasn't getting no flack. It was smooth sailing.
It wasn't the same experience you had.
No,
where
because
people
I'd
were
ask him
"Holy
like,
shit,
because I would
is
give him some ugly returns. I would buy like a $40 figure from Suncoast and just take the sticker off and put it on a $5 figure and be like, this looks like a space angel. Just return this. And I'd be like, he would call me and I'd be like, hey man, how'd that return go? I go, fine. I go, there was no problem with that? And he'd be like, no problem at all.
Well, did you shout at her? And
So I was
self-righteous
like, I was
indignance?
stunned, and as he kept doing it and not getting no flack, I'd be like, I would keep upping the ante and making even more like.
I stole this. Can you see if you can get cash back for it? What was your philosophy? You just you felt that if you seemed perturbed that the customer service.
No, my
aspect
philosophy. I didn't go in there with an attitude right away, but as soon as they started giving me shit, even though it was within the time limit of the receipt hadn't expired, I felt like they really had no grounds to give me shit.
Right, you convinced yourself that you were on the moral high ground.
Not
here.
on the moral high ground, but like there's nothing they
ethical
could
high
do.
ground.
I'm giving you exactly what the receipt says. How can you start giving me
Their suspicions
lip?
aren't enough to warrant lip.
They weren't even
They
suspicious.
know goddamn
They
well
just
when you
didn't
come
want to
in
do
looking
it.
like a fucking bag lady with tons of shit fucking
They
strapped
weren't.
to
I
you.
don't even think they were suspicious. Like, this guy's trying to get over on us. They just couldn't figure out why I was
What
doing
the fuck
it.
is with this guy? He buys shit and then he brings it all back and like on the 30th day. Like,
Yes.
what a wacko!
That's
I
the
would.
big thing.
That I would get. I would always give him ones that are like, this one's going to expire in 2 days. You think you can get this done?
This one's expiring in 2 hours. Get that done.
And he would get it done, and he was
can-do.
unbelievable. He never failed at it. Now, remember there was that story I told on Smod about like how Suncoast had me on a watch list?
Yeah.
In reality, it was my name, but they were looking for the wrong face because it was him.
Really?
He was Walt Flanagan doing it all the time. What did your wife say when she did she ever see the amount of shit you returned? Did she ever say anything to you?
No, I just kept it in the back of my car.
Because he would carry it around in his car. I remember
Why
that.
would I bring
yeah.
a return into my house, honey? I got to return these. I just want you to see
No
these
way.
before
That's
I
not
put them back
something
in
you
my
want to
car.
have to. You know my new friend Walt. He asked if I could return $300 worth of dog crap to Suncoast.
What is all that?
So, what were your feelings when you didn't care? Because
Not at first. Like I said, when I first met him, I was just like, this guy, man, there's something about him. He's just weird.
something wrong with him.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, it's the penny ante aspect of Walter's personality that I think continues to marvel.
What penny Annie? What does that mean?
You're never after the giant score. You're content to like just little bits here and there.
That's
like
true.
you're a hard scrabbling type of dude when it comes to that shit.
It's not even my money though. I think that's my responsibility to spend Kevin's money wisely.
To the point of fraudulent activity? Sure. Sure.
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, you can't buy something from a store and then I mean, you can obviously because
I
you
did it
guys
for
have
years.
successfully done it, yeah. Until like several corporations had to change policy because of
But
your
like,
bullshit.
we definitely had a factor. Well, Jeff had a factor in changing policies.
Well,
He would-
indirectly,
how
you
much,
did
How many
too,
thousands
fucking
of dollars
Godfather.
do you think you did? I was close to six figures.
You think it close to $100,000 in returns over the
And
years?
just in returns, you don't think you did close to six figures?
No, that's
You're
a lot of
crazy.
money, man.
Well, that would only,
Anything.
over 10 years, it would only have to be 10 grand a year. That doesn't seem that unattainable for you guys.
What I would
one
do
guy-
or what you would do.
Yeah.
But you would give me shit all the time about like, well, why don't you do one? Get Mike to do it.
Well, Mike did do a couple.
Mike did do them, but
he
he
wasn't the
wasn't
guy.
the he was. What was that guy called in the Wolf? Like, we got to
Oh,
call the
Pulp
Wolf.
Fiction? Winston Wolf? Yeah.
Because Mike's heart wasn't in it, and he kind of did it like,
I just
what,
imagine,
what's going on
I
here?
just imagine Walter's like, does my garage say movie maniac storage? No, it doesn't.
But I told Jeff that when I laid down the scenario of what we did here, he was a natural. Mike was not a natural. He definitely had that look in his eye like
But I remember one return.
he was born to return shit.
Congratulations, Jeff. Someday your daughter will listen to this and be like, my dad. He returned dog crap for some guy.
It's just less he had to do.
But I always used to say like Patton didn't fucking get in the gun and fucking shoot down Nazis. He just told his troops what to do. We were
Yeah,
like a soldier.
General Flanagan fucking.
Yeah, the
gave
general
you-
doesn't fight the
told you what to
fucking
do.
war. He just fucking directs it.
Go on, grunt. Return that shit.
I mean, we can't do this anymore.
I mean, I stopped altogether. Jeff never really stopped, is what I mean to say.
No, actually, the game has changed so much we can't even do this no more.
Right.
I think
you
that
were,
it was
you
a
were
great
like
idea.
the Malcolm X of comic book stores. By any means necessary, you were.
Oh
gonna-
yeah, definitely. Yeah, like we got to put a boot on someone's throat. I don't give a shit.
Jeff will do it.
That's not gonna be my boot.
Yeah, it's not gonna be mine.
That's one other thing I used to say. Like, when are you gonna do one?
Yeah, exactly.
Even though he's like, why don't you do this one? I was like, I don't have time this weekend. I can't do it. Can you please just do it?
There was a funny Pokemon story I remember you telling me once. You went to KB and you were looking for Pokemon cards, and I used to help you look for them
Yeah.
too because that shit was
They were
fucking sizzling. It was
crazy.
unreal. Like $10 a pack, almost impossible to get. But you told me a story about you, your wife, and Kate when she was really small. She was like in a stroller carriage or something. Went into KB and you overheard people talking about Pokemon cards. You remember this?
Yeah.
You overheard a customer saying something to one of the employees about Pokemon cards, and the person said they're coming in later on that day. When we get them, we'll hold aside a couple of cases for you. Just tell them, and he gave some name. And you overheard this, and when they left, you came back, pretended that you were that guy, and got those cases of Pokemon cards.
Yeah, I did do that. Yeah.
It's insane, isn't it?
I needed the store to survive any way I could.
Walt needs to make that paper. So you don't buy nearly as much shit anymore. Is it because of
Dude,
like
you just bought an $800 fucking Vader
You're talking
figure.
about something over the course of a year.
you bought an $800?
That's cost $800.
cost.
What did your wife say? Your daughter just went from like state college down to Brookdale, down to like trade school. Eventually, she's gonna have to get a job when she's. You look like a model.
You see what I get every week now. It's nowhere near.
Wasn't that
Because
back
you're making up for it by the fact, like, get me the $800 Vader head.
That's like I get like 1 or 2 items like that over the course of the year.
And then, you know what? Get me the $700 Boba head. Yeah, I like that statue. Give me that too. I'll tell you what you have slowed down on. It was DVDs. This motherfucker has more DVDs than I've ever seen. I was at his house one time. It's unbelievable. He puts like a sun. He could definitely open up a satellite Suncoast store, and they're all fucking in plastic too.
Oh, you don't watch them?
Look who's talking.
What do you?
You ain't no different than me.
But you guys have you have that mentality that like I have to have it.
I don't know. I mean, it's just that collector bug, man. It's just
Like
like
what emotional hole are you two fucking wackos trying to fill?
If you don't buy nowhere near as much comics, then there's really not that many toys that I buy. I mean, you see my bill every week. It's not. It's just basically even magazines. That's really all it is.
But you're like, give me that Simpson hardcover. Just always adding shit on. It all adds up.
$13 book. I mean, compared to what it was back in the day.
$800 Vader figure and statues.
$800
This
Boba
one,
figure.
like Gentle Giant statues, sideshow stuff. I mean, you still spend quite a bit of money on this shit.
I do, but it's nowhere near as far as what I was used to
Oh
get.
yeah, he was out of
It
control,
was
man.
like cases.
Your
I
bill-
just walked out here. It was nuts. It was just like cases of figures
does
just
sound
going
like-
out the back door. He's like, you delivering or are you dropping off?
Like
How much was the most you ever spent in 1 week here?
Oh, it had to be at least $400.
No, it was more than that. I thought it was close to $600 one time. You had
Nah,
a
I never
weekly.
spent that much.
He would complain about the vendor. Fucking sideshow shipping all the shit. Why the fuck are you ordering it?
That's not my
he didn't
fault,
like their
though.
calendar. Like their,
He didn't like the fact that what he ordered came in.
All
It did
these
seem
big
better
dollar
on
items
paper.
would come in at the same time. It's like, well, this thing's shipping. Oh, this thing's shipping.
have you had to slow down because of your child? Like, can you not?
No.
I mean, it doesn't sound like you slowed down.
No.
I have a lot. That's
He is
without
not
a
slowed-
doubt. I mean,
nothing
it's-
slows
But I'm
this
saying,
guy
like
down.
the other stuff I've been paying $25 a week for over the course of almost a year.
Just
Every
because
week.
you paid it over time doesn't mean you didn't fucking spend $820
Yeah,
on a fucking head.
Okay, but you know, it's
On a fucking
I don't
head.
look at it that way.
Just because you're like, I didn't blow it all in one chunk.
now I get a couple magazines. What I get this week? Like 2
I don't
magazines.
know.
That's
But
it.
he's painting the picture that
No,
Like
I'm
he's
not
really
saying I still
scaled
get
back.
Stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not going to admit that I don't get stuff, but I will tell you.
I'm
that
not the
it's-
train wreck I used to be.
It's not.
Like, would you compare him to some of the worst meth addicts you've seen on Intervention and shit?
Like if he should have spray paint all over his fucking face.
But I have sold some of my
huffing.
stuff. I've sold stuff.
Yeah, oh, you
He
sold,
sold
some
stuff.
Not recently, but I have. I've
He
put
was
a
the
lot of
last time
stuff
you
on
sold
there.
something.
Remember that needling I was talking about earlier?